Hi, I'm William Johnson from Iron Nature, Metalwork for His Glory. It's been quite a journey here coming to Lebanon for us. My wife and I, when we were first married, this was back in the mid-'80s, we moved into the Lebanon area, not knowing anything about the Lebanon area. Found a beautiful home in Steelstown, and we were able to purchase the home and start our life together. And we met some really wonderful people here, and the community itself was just a very welcoming community, and we just felt at home. And so we quickly got involved in a local church, and we continued to meet more people, and we really enjoyed the start to our new life. Well, about 4 years into it then, I decided to make a career change, and the career change was to become a high school shop teacher. And that meant that I would have to either move out of the area or I would have to drive a long distance to work every day. I really wanted to teach, and it was my opportunity for a great job. So I took the job, and with a step of faith, I said, we're going to stay. So for 30 years, I actually transported myself to Lancaster every day to my job. It turned out to be a very, very good move for me. Why? Because staying in the area meant that it opened up a very new horizon for me in my career as an artist and a metalworker craftsman. Well, part two of the journey actually takes off when we were part of a church plant in Lebanon. We had the opportunity to become part of a team that went and started a new church in Jonestown. And as part of this process, my wife and I and our whole family were involved in learning a lot about what it means to build a church and to be a group of people serving the Lord in a new community, stepping out on faith, and not really knowing a lot about what we were doing. We had the attitude or the desire to really give it a try. And this is so pivotal in why I do what I do today, because as part of being involved in that church plant, we had the opportunity to do an amazing project. We were building a metal building in Jonestown, and it was a very simple building. But the pastor had a very unique idea, and he said, let's pass out bags of nails to all the family units in the church. And let's ask all those family units to take a nail out of the bag every day and pray for our church as it was being built. Well, after weeks of doing this, and I remember this very well because my children were very young at the time, and we would do it together as a family, being hopeful that God would answer our prayers for this church to be a success. The nails were asked to be turned back into the church, and they accumulated in buckets, and we had thousands of these nails. And there was a lady in my church who knew that I did metalwork, and she said, Bill, would you consider doing something with these nails that we could use, and you could build something from these nails that we could put into our new building? And so I thought about it, and I was excited that she asked me, but I really had never done anything with Christian artwork or anything with art related to church. And I thought, well, what could I do? It's a pretty exciting ask. And I responded, yes, I'd love to think about it. Here's where the magic really happened. And what I did was I came home and I just cast it out in prayer every morning before I went to work in my devotions. I asked the Lord, what could I do with these nails that would be meaningful for our church? After several weeks of just thinking about it, an idea came to me, and that was to build a cross made from all these nails, thousands of nails, weld it into the shape of a cross so that if you were far away, you could see that it was the shape of a cross. But if you took the time to walk near it, you would see that in the cross there's something written. And so I thought about that particular concept, and I thought about my own life, and I thought about how there were many years where I really didn't care about the cross, and it was not of interest to me. But that all changed one day when I decided to take a closer look, and I realized that there's a message in the cross for all of us. There's a message of forgiveness, of hope and joy and love and victory and truth. And so I took those words, those what I call riches in Christ, and I welded them into words and I put them on the cross. They weren't real visible unless you walked close. But when you view the cross from a distance, you just see it as a shape. And that's okay. Maybe you care, maybe you don't care. But in my case, I walked past the cross many, many years. But it was one year that I was interested in the cross. And when I walked near it and really looked into it, I saw that there was a very deep meaning in it. And these words became very valuable to me as I termed them the riches of Christ. These are the things that a person gets when your faith is really put in Him. So, back to the story. I built a 9-foot cross from these nails, and these nails were, every person in the church had prayed over that nail. And I composed it into the cross with these words laid into it, so that they weren't directly visible unless you walked near it. So when we hung the cross in the church the first day that it opened back in 2001, this was hanging in our welcome center, and it was a real joy to see people walk up to the cross and look and see what was in it, to read the words and to think about maybe their nail was some in there somewhere in the cross. And so it became very, very meaningful to me. And so to end the story, I would simply say that if it weren't for being part of the church and saying yes to really the question, would you do this? That particular answer to that question opened up a very, very big journey for me in my life. So since 2001 till now, I've done a lot with metal artwork, and specifically have built over 3,000 crosses, and we have 6 copyrighted patterns that we make year after year and put them in churches all over the U.S. And it's been a very, very interesting way for me to share my faith. So it's a joy to be able to share that with you today. My name is William Johnson, and I am Lebanon, PA.